We take it for granted now, but a few generations ago, photographs were uncommon, and a few generations before that, they didn't even exist. Imagine the only way we could visually remember a past event or loved one who passed on was from our memory. Now we take pictures whenever we want to with the phones we have in our pockets. My name is Shaimond, and you're listening to It Started Somewhere, a podcast about popular products, places, and things we know about but may not know the story behind them. Today, we'll explore the evolution of photography, from its humble beginnings to the present day innovations that are shaping the future of the medium as we know it. In 1826, after days of exposure, a French inventor named Nicéphore Niépce changed the world by creating the first permanent photograph. This heliograph, as he called it, laid the foundations for photography, which through many innovations will go on to shape how we capture society. However, taking days of exposure time for a photograph to be ready wasn't ideal, and these early photographs were blurry and difficult to make out. But let's rewind a bit. The concept of the camera wasn't new. In fact, the camera obscura had been known since ancient times. It was a simple device, a dark room with a small hole that projected an inverted image onto a surface. Artists use it as a drawing aid, but fixing that image permanently was impossible. Fast forward to 1839. Louis Daguerre developed the Daguerreotype process that reduced exposure time from days to minutes. The detailed mirror-like images he produced were on silver-plated copper and took the world by storm. For the first time, people could have realistic portraits of their loved ones. This was great. However, each daguerreotype was unique. You couldn't make copies. Enter William Henry Talbot and his Calotype process in 1841. This negative positive system laid the groundwork for modern photography, allowing multiple prints from a single negative. A negative positive photography development system is a process in traditional photography that involves creating a negative image first, which then is used to produce positive prints. The next decades saw a flurry of inventions. In 1851, Frederick Scott Archer introduced the wet plate collodion process, cutting exposure time to mere seconds. But photographers still had to lug around portable darkrooms to develop their plates on the spot. Relief came in 1870 with Richard Maddox dry plates. Now photographers could prepare their plates in advance. But the real revolution came in 1884 when George Eastman invented flexible paper-based film. This was the birth of Kodak, a name that will become synonymous with photography for over a century. In 1900, Kodak introduced the Brownie camera, which sold for $1. While that wasn't cheap at the time, it was attainable to the middle class, and over 100,000 of them were purchased the first year alone. Suddenly, almost anyone could be a photographer. You press the button, we do the rest, was Kodak's slogan, and it changed everything. For decades, photography was black and white. But in 1935, Kodak introduced Kodachrome, bringing color photos to the masses, and photographs would never look the same again. In 1948, Edward Land's Polaroid camera hit the market. Now you could develop photos instantly. It was magic in a box, and it captured the public's imagination for decades. The digital revolution was another huge step in photography. And in December 1975, Stephen Sasson, an electrical engineer at Eastman Kodak, invented the first self-contained digital camera. It weighed 8 pounds, recorded black and white images to a cassette tape, had a resolution of 0.01 megapixels or 10,000 pixels, and took 23 seconds to capture its first image. It was a prototype camera that was a technical exercise and not intended for production. In 1981, Sony demonstrated the first filmless SLR camera, the Mavica. The first widely commercially available digital camera was released in 1990, and it was the Dicam Model 1. In 1992, the JPEG image standard was introduced, which greatly reduced file sizes. The first commercial camera phone was the Kyocera Visual Phone VP210, which was released in Japan in May 1999. Now we all carry high-quality cameras in our pockets. Our phones use computational photography and AI to produce images that would be impossible just a few years ago. Virtual and augmented reality are pushing the boundaries even further. From Niépce's heliograph to today's smartphones, photography has come an incredibly long way. It's transformed how we see the world, how we remember our lives, and how we share our experiences. As we look to the future, one thing is clear: the art and science of capturing light will continue to evolve, surprising and delighting us in ways we can't imagine. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll catch you on the next episode of It Started Somewhere.